Hello everybody, I'm Justin from Free-Clep-Prep, and I have a question for you. What's the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist? It sounds like a joke, but it's not. I'm going somewhere with this. A psychiatrist goes to medical school, learns all about the human body, graduates as an MD or a DO, and can prescribe medicine. A psychologist attends a normal college, gets an undergraduate degree in a psychology-related field. They can get a graduate degree to specialize further, and then either a PhD or a psychology doctorate. They both end up as doctors in their respective field, but one is a medical doctor who can prescribe medication, and the other is not. Now, I would remember that, as you may see it on a test one day. Just saying. Today, we're going to talk about the Introductory Psychology CLEP, which has a surprising amount of psychiatry content. See where I was going there? I took this test the same day I did the Analyzing and Interpreting Literature CLEP. I did that video first because it was easier, so here's your warning. This review is going to be longer. I scored a 62 on the Introductory Psychology CLEP, which was lower than what I expected to. I've had this exam rated as a level 2 on our difficulty list for a while now, but that was based on my last pass in 2007. I've since moved that up to level 3 difficulty. They've obviously refreshed the exam, and in my opinion, that made it more difficult. When I sat down for the exam, I had a good grasp on the psychology side of things, especially after taking the Human Growth and Development CLEP just a few weeks ago. But the number of psychiatry/biology questions really caught me by surprise, so I want to make sure you're ready for it. Now, maybe I just got a biology-heavy version of the test, but I don't think so, and I'll explain why you shouldn't neglect these topics either. First up, as always, we're going to hit the official fact sheet, which you can find here on the free study guide. Let's scroll down a bit and take a look at the exam breakdown. Unlike many other exams, the Introductory Psychology CLEP is divided into many smaller areas of study. The largest of the 13 categories is the first, and that's only 12% of the exam. The rest are all 10% or less. You'll see that biological basis of behavior accounts for only 8 to 9% of the exam, which didn't really reflect my experience at all. But I would go so far as to say this entire breakdown is a little misleading, and here's why. If you look a bit more closely, you'll see that almost every category has a biological element, sometimes cleanly spelled out, such as these, and sometimes not so obvious. A good example of the latter is the cognition category. Many of the questions you'll see about these 4 things will actually focus on the physiological aspects, such as the parts of the brain responsible for memory, in addition to the types of memory, such as short-term, sensory, long-term. So let's get all the biology out of the way first, and then we'll move on to the rest. I don't want you caught by surprise. We're going to go from the top down here. First up is the brain. You'll need to know which parts are responsible for what. The 3 main parts are the cerebrum, cerebellum, and the brainstem, which I always remember as the CCB. Those are then broken up into different parts, such as the amygdala, the hippocampus, hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. You'll need to know what all of these do. For example, the hypothalamus regulates hormones and controls functions such as hunger and thirst. The pituitary gland is also known as the master gland because it releases hormones that regulate many other functions of the body. Know all of these and you'll pick up some easy points. It doesn't just stop with the main parts though. Know what glial cells are, what myelin does, how diseases such as Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's affect the different parts of the brain and the nervous system. Let's talk about the nervous system next because there were so many questions about the nervous system. Know the difference between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system and what they're responsible for. Then the fun really begins because you'll need to know what the different parts of those two are. The somatic and the autonomic are good examples and easy to keep straight in your head since the autonomic controls all the automatic stuff like breathing, heart rate, and digestion, while the somatic is the stuff you're in charge of like walking, talking, etc. Then comes the sympathetic and the parasympathetic systems, which I always get mixed up for some reason. Really, I'm just going to say you need to know everything on this page. There are 49 different summaries here, and I think I used every one of them on my test in one way or the other. This states of consciousness chapter is another big one. Know the different stages of sleep and what happens during them, how hypnosis and meditation affects your brain, and pretty much every summary on the psychoactive drug effects page. Knowing how agonists, antagonists, and depressants work can give you some easy points on the test because even if you're unfamiliar with the particular drug they might be asking about, you can usually eliminate a few choices based on what the desired outcome is if you understand those classes of drugs. Speaking of psychoactive drugs, let's talk about psychological disorders. I'd go through all of these chapters here. You might not see everything in them, but you'll likely see bits and pieces throughout your exam. Knowing what DSM-5 is, or how certain disorders like obsessive-compulsive or bipolar disorders manifest themselves, the causes and symptoms, the potential treatments. It's a lot to go over and you might not get a ton of questions about them, but you'll likely get more than enough to make the study worth it. Don't leave points on the table, just know the material. All right, with disorders, we're firmly back into the psychology field, so let's go ahead and move on. The psychology portion of this exam is the same stuff you'll see on most of the other psychology-related CLEPs and DSSTs. Know your theories and the people behind them. Don't just know what they are, but be able to apply them to scenarios that the exam might give you. You'll see the usual parade of people such as Freud, Skinner, Pavlov, Maslow, Bandura, Erickson, and others. We cover all these and more in the free study guide. You'll also be expected to know how research is conducted, the different types of surveys, the variables in those surveys, and things like standard deviation, mean, median, and mode. I had many more questions about this type of thing on the Human Growth and Development CLEP than I did on this exam, but I wouldn't neglect studying these topics. First, they're relatively easy to understand and apply, so it's easy points. Second, if you're going to take any of the other psychology CLEPs, the overlap is real. Speaking of overlap, you'll also be seeing memory-related questions, as I mentioned before. The same can be said about intelligence, what it is, the different types, and how that changes as we age. Social psychology wasn't a huge part of my test, but you will probably see some questions about how we perceive others based on like stereotypes and preconceived notions. Again, this wasn't a hard exam. It was just surprising how much emphasis was placed on things I don't normally consider part of pure psychology. I am still taking credit for the College Board shortening the name of the Information Systems and Computer Applications CLEP. They shortened it to Information Systems CLEP. I've got another suggestion for them. Instead of the Introductory Psychology CLEP, let's call this Introductory Psychology and Psychiatry CLEP, because that's basically what you're studying for. For everyone who made it to this point, I hope this has been helpful. In addition to our free study guides, flashcards, and practice tests, we do have a quick prep bundle available for this exam to help you get ready fast. I've had it available for free for the last week, and we're going to keep it that way for another 2 days after the video drops. So if you plan on taking this in the next 2 months, make sure you grab yourself some access. I have some more videos coming for tests I took a few months ago, like the American Government and U.S. History 1 CLEP. Back then, I wasn't sure if I was going to be doing videos on YouTube, so now I'm playing catch up. I had hoped to take the Humanities CLEP again this week, but I ran into some website issues, so that'll likely be pushed back to next week. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and do so to get notified when those videos are available. That'll be it for this video, though. As always, best of luck on your exams, and we're cheering for you. Take care of yourself.